at least once a month. You have to look at the entire month and see how many leads you generated last month, how many demos you generated last month, how many sales you generated last month, how far were you from what you projected, what happened throughout the month, what were your salespeople doing throughout the month, what were you doing throughout the month, was it a personal problem that came up, were you going to too many conferences, or did you have to fix some product stuff? How can you take that stuff off your plate so you have no excuses? Because you don't want that stuff to stop you, right? You don't want that stuff to stop your growth. So what's going on once a month? Once a month, just look at that. And eventually you can have a VA do this. Like I have a VA is like doing all this internally in my business. So I don't have to actually build the report, but I'm looking through what's going wrong and identifying what's going wrong. And so one of the questions Chris had was, how do I know when a sales rep's not performing? When should I let him go? And for me, I know day one. If the guy can't give a report every day for 2 weeks, it's not going to convince someone to change their life, you know? He's not even that committed to changing his own life. So you really got to get people that are just absolutely obsessed with tracking. You know someone's a great player is when they can bring up all the past tracking they have and show you. Like Arun just showed us decks and presentations and marketing collateral from like 4 or 5 different companies that he has. You don't lose this stuff, you keep it, right? So it's a very different type of person. So once a month, review it for the predictable revenue, and then identify the budget that you really need for it. You don't want to overspend, but you want to accurately spend. And 5 to 15% of your budget should be marketing expenses. Because your customer acquisition cost is going to be based on your market. Your sales is pretty fixed outside the commission. So it's like, yeah, 5 to 15%, 5 to 15. So you want to hit 100 grand, 5K to 15K. It's reasonable. 100 grand a month on average per quarter. And don't expect it to come back immediately if you're B2B. Spend the money. It's part of awareness. People know you more, and expect it to come back within the end of the quarter. But track it. You have to track it. And ideally, you just close that sooner and sooner. So every time you spend 5, you make 10 no matter what, so you don't care about spending anymore. And that's what a really, really good salesperson will guarantee. Because they don't want you to lose money. They're actually going to be looking at that stuff too.
So what are you spending it on? Because a lot of the stuff you guys have talked about today was not paid advertising. It's like email, and that costs like a few $100 a month to send. So are you counting salaries for all these people that have been?
No, I'd be like promoting or lists that you're going to buy or data you can buy. Well, because we found ways to make it cheap, right? So, and then also just start boosting these things. I think the repurposing of content is really key. That's what Arun was saying. That's what you're really spending money on instead of ads. So you take the one deck, you make, 500 different LinkedIn posts. You post 10 times a day. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that's what just increases budget, right? But it's really about not committing to the activities, it's about committing to the goal, which is all 3 of these things, right? Just being able to hit things consistently, because that's actually you building confidence within yourself to run the organization. Because I look at it like a car. You don't need to know how the car works, you need to be able to drive it. But if you only go into like 2 out of the 4 places you wanted to drive to, you'd be a little worried about your mental health, right? So you want to make sure that's not happening in your business. You're just like, I'm going to drive here, and then you drive there, and then you go, I'm going to drive there, and then I drive there, right? So it's commitment. The last thing I'm going to say is you can't commit just once. Commitment is a every day, every hour kind of thing, right? Eli is talking about a 20-minute meeting, and he has like 45 different ways to get the person committed to a certain outcome in that 20-minute meeting, right? You live commit. You live to score goals. You live to win. That's who you are. That's who all of you are. I know all of you pretty personally at this point. Maybe not Jace yet, but I'm sure I will eventually. Like, winning is what we do. That's why we're here. That's why there's revenue even on the table. That's why we've raised money. We've done crazy things. And the second you shy away from that or tolerate other people around you that aren't used to winning all the time, I'm talking about all the time, right? And not fighting useless battles, but like winning when it matters. When you're around those kinds of people, like, how do you guys feel? Do you guys feel better, or you guys feel like, oh, this guy's a show off? You feel better. You feel much better around these people. Winning all the time. And when you're used to winning all the time and your team is used to winning all the time, you don't worry about the activities. You don't worry about the revenue. You're just worried about winning. right? And building that confidence within yourself for how you stand and how you think and how you talk and how you don't hesitate and how you actually reduce time consistently because you're removing patterns and installing growth ones. There's so much that goes into winning, but it's really that one core thing you want to win consistently. And people just start getting they start thinking that you can't win, especially with this new economy. A lot of people in the Valley are like, oh, there's no opportunity in the market. And I'm like, people are growing at 40% year on year still. Like they went down from 200% to 40%. Like they're still growing, right? You're still winning. Don't ever let the circumstances trick you into thinking you're not winning. You got to keep winning all the time. So you are at the end of the day. But if you forget that and you're not recommitting yourself to winning and you're not recommitting yourself to scoring goals and getting ahead and checking in on yourself and making sure you're reviewing tape and all these things that go into actually creating a winning system every single year, because it resets every year. It's a new season every year, right? If you're not doing that every single year, every single day, you're not going to feel like yourself, and then you're not going to hit your goals. You know, it's really interesting how it fractalizes and just spreads. And then you get people around you that are kind of like that. You get friends around you. They're like, yeah, we haven't won in a while. The world is just tough. It's just not the right time in the market. Oh, there's never enough money. You know, you just start hearing that more and more, and that becomes your little bubble. But when you're winning, you don't tolerate that. You're like, what do you mean? You gotta change that right now. You don't have enough money? You have money. You can get money. You've gotten money in the past. Everybody makes over like a couple $1 million in their lifetime now. No one can ever say that they don't have enough money. What they can say is they're not getting it fast enough, right? Because $1 million over 50 years, this will not get that. It's $20K a year, right? So that's what we're really talking about. How do you get that number? It's not going to be crazy. It's not going to be 100% year on year. If you grow 20% year on year, you can get to like 10 billion within decades. The compounding is insane. And so you really want to look at, okay, what do I want to compound at? And then do I have a team that can commit to it more than I can and that can exceed it? Like, I don't necessarily want advisors. I want people, although I want the advice, I want people that are better than me, that are dragging me to success.
Do you find people who are better? Like, there's angellist.com. How are you screening? Are you just narrowing the scope to better than you at cold calling?
So it's very KPI driven. It depends on your stage of business, right? So if you're the solopreneur, you're trying to find people that are specialized for the big team. Right? If you're in the big team and you're going to the team of teams, then you want very KPI driven things. So it's like, how do I get more leads? Who's someone that's best in the world at getting leads? I'm not going to say I'm better than Arun at getting leads, although we've worked together and generated massive amounts of leads together. He did 5,000 with the one marketing material, right? I don't want to do that. I'll be like, Arun, how do I get more leads in that business, right? Is he better than me as a person? No, we're all the same. We're all equal, right? But that specific thing. So what problem are you really solving? So that's why the reviews are so important, the monthly reviews, because then you'll understand what you're missing and then you can go get those people. And then you'll notice those people have those things in their CVs and their resumes when they apply. They'll have those things in their profiles on LinkedIn. They'll be very metric driven. And so then you can start doing outbound towards these people.
So what I'm hearing is micro skills. You're taking each of the jobs and identifying where you need supplemented on any given micro skill, right? Like, I don't know how to set up the A/B testing on the what one.
I would not go that deep. So Arun said, you want one person whose throat you can choke, the DRI, directly responsible individual, right? And then they have a pod of people they can pull from. You're looking for that DRI. And that DRI should be part of the value chain. Is he generating leads? Is he generating demos? Is he generating sales? What is he actually responsible for?
And all I need is a DRI that pays for their pod.
Yes. That's all we're talking about. And also can commit to your goals. So you say, I need to grow at 20% year on year. This year, that means 500 leads. Who out there has generated 40 something leads a month? They'll be talking about it. They'll be doing like presentations of like, this is how I did it for this company. This is how I did it for that company. And they'll walk you through exactly how they did it. And then you hire them. But if they're just like, oh, I can do it, it's fine. And you're like, well, what industry did you do it in? How did you deal with these multiple threads? Which stakeholders did you actually bring in? How did you deal with this objection? They're like, well, I just did it. You're like, all right, fuck you, right? Like they love this stuff. Like people that are obsessed with this metric, that's what they've dedicated their life to. Arun came here super excited to talk about demand generation, right? To talk about lead generation, to talk about creating content.
And so you could ask him what the pivot points are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and he could tell you.
Yes.
We understood the signaling. Oh, we didn't have the buyer journey right. We didn't have the thing. He knew his pivot points for when it started making a difference.
Yes. The inflection points they use, you'll know them. You know what in a game or a chess match or whatever, the really good players know every single thing that happened. They know every move. Right? They can take you back to the decisions they were making when they saw the other moves. Right? That's greatness. And then they'll talk about it on their LinkedIn profiles. They'll talk about it in Angel List. They'll talk about it on these places. And so when you see that, then you'll know that it's actually legitimate. Because they talk about the asymmetries, not the correlations.
And what is that?
Inflection point is just like when a company takes off, right? So really easy example is Airbnb, one of their inflection points is when they scraped all of Craigslist and they posted all their postings there. And the second one was when they got professional photographers to take photos of the actual people's units, because then that increased that. And the third one was when they used really high quality design for the landing pages to get people in and keep them there instead of being on Craigslist. And so the people that were there at the time of that company, they lived and died based on these moments, right? It's like, is the company going to make it? And so they know. And so if someone doesn't know, they were not committed to that company. You know?
So question, it sounds like these people don't really need to know your specific sector. Like in my case, I just need the killer enterprise salesperson who is very metric driven and can talk about inflection points and getting right. And I'm the expert on innovation, right? It's like finding the combination of the two narrows the Venn diagram like nothing.
Yeah, so you want someone adjacent or has sold to the same profile before, right? So maybe it's just they sold to CIO something else. VP innovation, something else. So then at least they'll know the language and the common problems.
Small market, but
yeah, that's part of it. But like, there's people. And eventually, like, your best customers will also recommend sales reps to you because they like you a lot. So whenever you do a job posting, like, make sure you send it to your customers because they always send you the best people. Because they care about you, because they're getting results from you. They're like, hey, please do this for other people. It's like the second level of referring.
We get great employees from our marketing.
Yeah.
Like, we've got people who have come in on LinkedIn and said, I finally got who used for my job, I want to work for you. I'm like, who are you? Oh my God, you're awesome.
That's awesome.
Okay, so structure, goals, and people, but really just committing to something and doing it. It goes back to, I'm going to pick up this bottle and pick it up, and then I'm going to put the bottle down and put it down. It didn't make sense to me when I first did it, but you're training your nervous system to trust yourself. And so you keep building this relationship with yourself up to grow it. And I think that's actually the core skill of a founder, is you stack confidence more than you stack your doubts. You stack the wins more than you stack the losses. It's fun to lose. It's just not fun to lose in a higher ratio than you're winning. You know, because then you're going to be like, maybe it's the belief thing again, right? Maybe I am not as good as I thought, right?
huge. What you just said is very powerful. Training your nervous system to trust yourself.
So they actually have done a bunch of studies on this. Lobsters, they have these weird fights with each other for mating. And if they lose, then they actually hunch over. And so like the lobster on the lowest level of hierarchy will be the most hunched over because the nervous system is like dangled from losses. And so like humans might have that too. So you really have to open it up. And so that way you're not like